How do top-tier athletes, especially in, those really high-intensity combat sports like karate, how do they truly optimize their performance? Is it just about endless practice of techniques, or is there maybe a secret sauce in how they mix different kinds of training? That's the really interesting question we're tackling today. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed, maybe with a few surprising facts along the way. Today we're diving deep into some, pretty groundbreaking new research in sports science. Okay, so let's unpack this. We're looking at a fascinating article. It's titled Sequencing Effects of Concurrent Resistance and Short Sprint Interval Training on Physical Fitness and Aerobic and Anaerobic Performance of Karate Athletes. Quite a mouthful, huh? This work comes from Yifan Su, who's at Gdańsk University of Physical Education and Sport over in Poland, and also Shimeng Wang from the Institute of Sports Science at Nantong University in China. And it's fresh off the press, published in the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine. That's volume 24, pages 205 to 216. It just went online March 1st, 2025. So our mission today is to really explore how mixing these different training types affects karate athletes, and crucially, does the order you do them in actually matter?
Yeah, and that's such a critical point, practically speaking, for athletes and coaches. I mean, they're always trying to figure out how to squeeze the most benefit out of limited training time. The big challenge is doing that without hitting this interference problem, where one type of training might actually cancel out some of the gains from another. This study really gets to the heart of that. To really get why this matters, you first have to understand what karate Kumite demands. It's the competitive side of karate. And it's not just about technique. It requires this complex blend of physical skills. You need serious muscular strength, explosive power for scoring points quickly. But it's also very stop-start, intense bursts, then short recoveries. So aerobic fitness, your VCHO 2 max, is vital for fighting off fatigue and recovering between those bursts and even between fights. And there's anaerobic performance that's for the all-out high-intensity moves that actually score the points. So basically, top karate athletes can't just practice karate. They need a really well-rounded, scientifically designed training program hitting all these different areas.
Wow, it sounds like they need the strength of a lifter, the speed of a sprinter, and the endurance of a runner all rolled into one. How on earth do coaches manage that?
That is exactly the challenge. And that's where this idea of concurrent training, or CT, comes in. It's basically mixing resistance training, let's call it RT, and endurance training, often in the same workout, just to be efficient with time. But, like you hinted, for years there's been this worry, this interference effect. The idea was if you did, say, long, steady endurance running and then tried to lift weights, your strength and power gains might suffer. It's like the body gets mixed signals, Am I adapting for endurance or for power? And maybe just compromises.
Right, the body can't quite decide. So this study looks at a different type of endurance work, short sprint interval training, SSIT. What makes that potentially different? Why might that avoid the interference problem?
Yes, exactly. The theory is that SSIT is so different from traditional endurance. It's these really short, maximum effort, all-out bursts. Because it's so brief and intense, the idea is it might not trigger the same molecular pathways that cause that interference with strength gains. And the researchers set up a pretty clever study to test this. They got 40 national-level young male karate athletes. These guys all had at least 2 years of national competition experience in Kumite. Then they split them into 5 groups, carefully matched by weight. You had one group just doing SIT, another just doing RT, the resistance training. Then the 2 key groups. One did SSIT, then RT in the same session with a 10-minute break. The other did RT, then SSIT, same break. And finally, super important, an active control group. They just kept doing their regular karate training, no extra structured stuff. That lets you see if the specific training interventions actually work beyond just doing karate.
Okay, 5 groups. And they did this for 8 weeks. What was the actual training like? Was it intense?
Oh, yeah, definitely. For 8 weeks, 3 times a week. The SIT group did multiple sets of these very short, like 5-second all-out runs, really maximal effort, with short rests, like 15 seconds. And they gradually did more runs per set over the weeks. The RT group focused on key lower body stuff, back squats, leg presses, hamstring curls, calf raises. They did multiple sets, aiming for 6 to 12 reps to failure, circuit style. And again, they increased the intensity, the load progressively. And to see what happened, they measured a whole battery of things before and after those 8 weeks. Things like how high they could jump. That's the counter movement vertical jump for explosive power. Their 20-meter sprint speed. Agility using a shuttle run. Also, pure leg strength with the 1-rep max leg press. Anaerobic power using the Wingate test that measures peak and average power during intense cycling. And of course, aerobic fitness, the VCHO 2 max test on a treadmill. So a really comprehensive look at performance.
Okay, right. So they measured everything. And here's where it gets really interesting, maybe even a bit of a bombshell for some coaches and athletes out there.
Hmm.
The first big takeaway: just doing your sport, in this case karate, wasn't enough to boost these specific fitness measures. Every single group that added either RT or SSIT or both saw significant improvements across most tests: power, speed, strength, endurance, you name it. But the control group, the ones only doing karate,
Basically flatline.
yeah, no significant changes at all. It really highlights that targeted physical training is essential on top of sport-specific practice.
Absolutely. That's a crucial baseline finding. And then when you dig deeper, the power of combining the training really stands out. The concurrent training groups, so SSIT plus RT and RT plus SSIT, they generally got better results in several key areas compared to doing just SSIT or just RT alone. For example, that vertical jump measure of explosive power. The combined group showed what the study called a large effect size improvement, much bigger than the moderate effects seen in the single training groups. We saw similar things for peak and mean anaerobic power from the Wingate test, and they also had greater improvements in their sprint and shuttle run times. It really argues for that combined approach.
Okay, so combining is better for a lot of things. But here's the kicker, the part that I think will make coaches sit up and listen. The order didn't seem to matter, is that right? They found no significant difference between doing sprints then weights versus weights then sprints.
That's exactly right. No significant difference in the adaptations between the SSIT plus RT group and the RT plus SSIT group. Both ways of ordering the training led to very similar and very positive results overall.
That's huge, because coaches stress about this, right? Does cardio kill my strength gains if I do it first? Or does lifting first make me too tired for sprints? This seems to say, for this type of training, relax.
Precisely. And the authors speculate why this might be the case. They suggest it's down to the nature of SSIT itself. Unlike, say, a long, steady run, which might cause more prolonged fatigue or activate pathways that conflict with strength adaptations, these short, all-out sprints are different. They are very intense but very brief. They likely don't create the same kind of molecular interference with the signaling for muscle growth and strength that traditional endurance training might. So yeah, it seems this specific type of interval training plays nice with resistance training, regardless of the order.
That is genuinely a game changer for planning training weeks. But just to be clear, does this mean the whole interference effect idea is dead? Or is it specific to using these short sprints?
That's a really important clarification. This study strongly suggests interference isn't an issue when combining RT with short sprint interval training. But you probably would still see interference if you tried combining RT with, say, long, moderate intensity cycling or running. The type of endurance training really matters. So it's not a free pass for absolutely any kind of concurrent training, but it's a very strong endorsement for using SSIT. It gives coaches a lot more freedom in how they structure those sessions. Now, while the combined training was generally the winner for overall improvement, the study also showed the specific strengths of doing RT or SSIT alone. Unsurprisingly, RT alone produced the biggest gains in pure muscular strength at 1-rep max leg press. It's still the best tool if maximal strength is your absolute primary goal. On the flip side, SSIT alone was better than RT alone for improving aerobic performance to VO2 max. In fact, the RT-only group didn't significantly improve their VO2 max at all. So it shows each type of training still has its unique, potent effects on different physiological systems.
Okay, that makes sense. RT for strength, SSIT for aerobic capacity. And combining them gives you a broader benefit, plus that flexibility in ordering. The study also mentioned something about individual responses, right? Not everyone reacts exactly the same way.
Yes, they did look at inter-subject variability. While the group averages showed clear trends, individuals can respond differently.
Right, and they found RT tended to give more consistent improvements in jump and strength, while SST was maybe more consistent for improving speed and aerobic fitness.
Exactly.
So what does this mean for you listening? Well, it suggests that even though combined training like this is super effective and flexible, you might still want to tweak things. Tailoring the emphasis based on an athlete's specific goals, or maybe even how they individually respond to different training types, is probably still key for really fine-tuning performance.
And we should also be transparent about the study's limitations, as all good research acknowledges. While statistically sound for their analysis, 8 athletes per group is a relatively small sample size. So these findings are most solid for national-level young male karate athletes. We need more research to see if it applies equally to, say, elite world champions or female athletes or athletes in completely different sports or age groups. Also, they didn't quantify the exact training load precisely or do detailed lab measurements like muscle biopsies to see the metabolic or neuromuscular changes happening at a deeper level. Those would be interesting follow-ups.
Good points. Always important to see the full picture. Okay, so let's wrap this deep dive up. The big takeaways from this research by Yifan Xu and Shimeng Wang. First, an 8-week program mixing short sprint interval training and resistance training works. It significantly boosts physical fitness, aerobic capacity, and anaerobic power in these karate athletes. Second, and this is maybe the headline news, no interference effect and no order effect. Doing sprints before weights or weights before sprints both worked equally well. That gives coaches huge flexibility. And remember, while RT is best for pure strength and SSIT best for aerobic gains, combining them seems to offer the most well-rounded benefit. Now, this was just our dive into the highlights. There is so much more detail in the actual paper. We really encourage you, if you're interested, to read the full article. Again, it's by Yifan Xu and Shimeng Wang in the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine. You'll find all the data tables and deeper discussion there. And of course, if you found this useful, make sure you follow our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss future deep dives into fascinating research like this one.
Yeah, and it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? If these short, all-out sprints don't mess with strength gains, what other, maybe unexpected training combinations could unlock performance, especially across different sports? Really understanding the specific mechanisms of what's happening inside the muscles in the body, that's going to be key to truly figuring out how to optimize human potential even further. Makes you wonder what's next.